Hey Holly, how you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, doing great. How's your Tuesday going so far?
Not too bad. I got
Not
my birds singing in the background.
That's awesome. Do you have any other pets or is it just birds?
And three other cats.
Oh
So
wow. Yeah,
yeah.
my family used to have these like green parrots. I don't remember. It was a long time I was young, but we used to have these like green parrots and these smaller like gray birds that we have in our house. So those were really cool. But I think they were like too much to like handle and too much to take care of. So kudos to you for taking care of three birds at once.
Oh well, they're pretty easy. We don't let them out and fly. Those
Uh,
I think they probably have more freedom, but with the three cats, it's not such a good idea.
I'm a cat person too, so I love cats. I was thinking of getting one soon, but not yet though. It's a little bit too early. I don't feel like taking care of a cat right now. But yeah,
Yeah.
what type of cats do you have?
Oh, just rescues that are, short-haired. One's a tiger, one's a like a black and white, and the other's called a tuxedo.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
tuxedo cats. Are those the ones that with like the it's like black and white, right?
yeah. It looks like
Mm.
yeah.
Those are
So
cute. Those are very cute.
yeah.
I like the little chubby ones with like short legs. I don't know,
Yeah.
those are cute
Oh,
too.
I see the cutest. Yeah.
Yeah, they just pouncing around. They look chubby. I don't know. I also want a cat like that, but I know it's not gonna like go fast or go far. It's just there.
Right. Yeah.
So, well,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you could join us. How did you find out about this?
You know, I I don't recall. It might have been an email if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if I think this is your first time here, if it is, this is pretty much a weekly class I run. Just help older adults out. It's free, obviously, and pretty much I just either sometimes I'm here, sometimes there's more people. But pretty much I go over like tech topics, AI, current news, how technology is getting used nowadays. It's pretty much just an informational class just for older adults to help, stay on top of things. So that's pretty
Yeah.
much it. So today I'm going to go over AI in healthcare. I hope that's a interesting topic that you're interested in too.
Okay.
If not, you can leave too. That's also cool. I wouldn't hurt my feelings.
Well, I don't
um,
understand the whole AI at all. And ironically, my stockbroker told me to get some stocks. So
oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, wasn't the last week kind of shaky with that? But
Yeah, technology last week was kind of shaky. I think Google went down a good bit too, on that. I don't know why. I don't follow too much of the stock market, but I know for sure, um, that the AI thing is a bit slowing down a little bit. Um, but I'm not too sure. What have you heard it from your like stockbroker?
I don't know. He just told me to get rid of two other ones that were pretty dormant and get that. So
Yeah,
I
I,
just
s-
go along with what he said. But
I trust the broker. I mean, he's been doing this enough times, because I think he looks at
yeah,
the numbers.
yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, I will get off and mute myself and thank you for doing this. It's much appreciated.
Of course. How's it going, Danielle? Nice to see you again.
Bonjour, monsieur. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I like the senior planet from ARP background.
Ah, yeah. Well, I just got off teaching a class for Senior Planet, and
How is that?
oh, I love it.
So is senior planet the one you guys teach technology too, right?
Yes, we do technology as well as fitness.
Oh, what did you guys teach today?
Today we were technology. We were talking about. new new stuff with Canva
Oh, yep. Canva's a cool thing.
and how to use the new AI interface with Canva and how it makes things a lot faster to develop applications.
Mm, very cool. Very cool. Well, this is Holly. She's new. Um, and yeah, pretty much today I'm going to go over AI in healthcare. Pretty much going over just the landscape, what's out there, how can I help you, yada yada yada, you know. So
Well,
without
not
further
yeah, please not yada, not a lot of yada yada
no
yada, and more info.
info, my bad. Data, info, news. All right, I'll get into it then. So just a quick agenda for the day, pretty much going over AI transformation in healthcare, pretty much the history of AI in healthcare, current applications out today, mental health and well-being, how AI is used to help improve mental health, improve loneliness. I know that's a big thing for older adults nowadays. Tools and equipment, what different tools and medical equipment are out there right now that can help, you know, people just get better. Improving your health with AI. How can AI help you right now, today, to improve your health? And what's and the future of AI? What's, you know, how's AI going to integrate in healthcare? What ethical concerns are going to rise up by doing that? And what different technologies and integrations will we have, you know, 10, 20 years down the line? So, to pose a question to the group, what are you guys' initial thoughts on AI in healthcare? Have you encountered any technologies, used any, experienced any different AI tools? If you like, you know, either you knew about it or you did know about it. Holly or Daniel, feel free to chime in any of your experience. Love to hear some stories.
I have not done any of that, so that's why I want to be informed here.
I unfortunately got the experience of that recently in the emergency room. My wife fell in our yard, and we went into the emergency room, and it appeared the doctors there was only one doctor for the entire emergency room, and everybody else was, or a lot of them were nurse practitioners. So they would ask questions. They had their iPad and they would ask questions, and it was like they were being led through the questions by some sort of automation.
Yeah,
And I felt sort of uncomfortable,
I was gonna say.
with that, but sort of thinking back more reassured that they were asking anything and everything they could to make sure they were coming up with the most practical and informative decisions possible.
Yeah.
And so when the doctor finally did come in, he had a whole, he had the question to look at. Plus, he asked questions on his own, which the AI intelligence didn't even bother to ask. So
Mm,
it was sort of a good mix. I was scared in the beginning because it was a lot of 80% was AI,
yeah.
or I thought was she was looking at her iPad, um, reading off questions, and so I asked her. I said, "Well, where are these questions coming?" She says, "Well, we're using a new AI tool to make sure that we ask all the possible iterations
Mm,
of what could potentially be wrong," which sort of made me feel uncomfortable and then sort of made me feel comfortable at the same time. Does that make sense?
yeah. I think the initial uncomfortability comes from like, does she not know the questions? Like the lack of like experience from her and on the nurse. But then it reassures that the AI was probably developed with like as much information from different sources like medical papers, different diagnostics, all combined into one. But then that's assuming that the AI company that built that took all those in consideration. So there is kind of a little bit of a black box. Holly, if you don't know what a black box is, it's a process where you don't really know the inner workings of it. So yeah, that depends. Yeah, because we're either taking it on face value that AI knows exactly by like a 99% accuracy
Well,
for
the
the
doctor,
questions asked.
yeah,
Yeah, then the
the
doctor
doctor,
comes in.
yeah.
You
See, the
know.
doctor. I mean, I asked the doctor about that because I was completely shocked with the AI that this nurse practitioner was asking me questions the way she was, and he told me, he says, right now, he says, and hate to say it this way, he says, but he said, with the lack of nurses and proper training, it's and how tired some of these nurses and nurse practitioners are for working all these hours. I mean, a
Yeah.
typical nurse practitioner now works 12 hours straight at a local hospital. And, I don't know how you are, but I know when I get tired, I sometimes look for a shortcut of
You stop
way,
thinking.
is stop thinking. So I think AI has a lot of advantages, but as long as they don't remove completely the human experience out of the equation, I think we're okay, but it's sort of nerve-wracking a little bit.
I mean, or the healthcare system could give shorter shifts to nurse.
Yeah.
Which they are. They are actually. My girlfriend's she's going to nursing school. So I think they're removing these like 3 hour, like 12-hour shifts from nurses and start breaking down them into like smaller shifts now. Because I mean, if the nurses are like doing 8-hour shifts, they should probably be like mentally sharp still. But I think 12 hours is like you're really pushing the mental like boundaries because it's not just physical work, because you gotta actually remember all the drugs, you gotta remember the processes, the diagnostics to actually ask the proper questions. So we'll see. We'll see. Any thoughts on that, Holly? Do you work in healthcare or any experience in healthcare on that side?
I used to years ago, but it was way, way long ago. So none of it was all handwritten stuff, you know,
Uh,
like in the 70s. So, but I totally agree about the time of how long their shifts are. There's only so much somebody can do in 12 hours, let alone not even get a break sometimes. So,
no, I agree. I agree. And I guess with the whole like AI thing, I think it's more like a supplemental. Like it should be something supplemental in conjunction with humans rather than replacing. So I think that in terms of your side, Daniel, the AI questions, I think that's a good start. But I think there's better solutions. If the problem they're solving are nurses getting tired, I think there's a better solution than throwing an AI to assist tired nurses, you know. That's just my opinion. Any final thoughts, questions on this before we move forward?
I Andy, I have to disagree with you. I mean, I think the idea of having a AI asking questions to make sure that the doctor is aware of any possibilities and
Yeah,
symptoms that are not being addressed. I think the AI makes sure that the nurse gets to know all the background
yeah,
before a doctor comes in and makes a diagnosis. Or I think AI is a lot more better way of being an investigative tool
yeah.
for the doctors to support the doctors and the nurses and relieve some of the stresses that the nurses have
Mm,
that they're dealing with, that they're not having to remember everything,
yeah.
and they're being a lot more thorough. The AI is allowing them to be more thorough, and them to feel a little bit more comfortable with the diagnosis and information they're providing to the doctor.
I see what you're saying. No, I somewhat see that, but I mean, if we're going down that route, of having like AI supplement the investigation, diagnostics, and having a baseline information to continuously provide for the nurses, I think the training for both nurses and doctors, maybe not doctors, for nurses, might shift into more of an experiential human, because if you have an AI always assisting you with information, I think the focus of training should be more on the more like human, the aspect that AI cannot do, to save time and money and energy towards something like taking care of a patient, caring for a patient, like all the more physical hands-on stuff that AI might
Yeah,
not do now.
I think it's more important for the nurses to provide reassurance for the patients and
Yeah,
provide the 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 support that a patient needs. I do think though that AI on a website-based thing,
yeah,
so a patient says, "Hey, I'm not feeling well," and be able to go into an interactive tool online has great potential for them to say whether or not they need to go to the emergency room or do they need to see
yeah,
their PT. So in some ways, AI has a lot of benefits, and I can see AI, but I'm just a little bit nervous that they're rushing AI technology into the mix quicker than they should be.
yeah. I agree. Hi, Karen. Nice to see you again. I hope you're doing well. So, just quick
Fine.
catch up. Hope you've been good. Just to catch up you up to speed, we're going over AI and healthcare, like
Okay.
pretty much current things in healthcare, things how like the new technology are up and rising, as well as let me see, hold up, gotta mute this real quick. As well as how AI can help you get better today. So pretty much right now you caught us in a discussion topic of how well if you have encountered any AI in your experience from any healthcare in your own healthcare. I was wondering if you had an experience with that. Have you like during your time if you were using any AI technologies, if your doctors were using any AI technologies? I wonder if your experience. Do you have any stories on that, Karen?
No, not as of yet.
Not as of yet. Okay, no worries. I'll go over some today. All right, so I'll move forward then. That was a really good discussion topic, Daniel. I actually like the fine line between how much human and how much AI should be incorporated to like still maintain the good experience is a great topic. I also love discussing that topic. All right, I'll move forward then. So the first part of the presentation is the transformation of AI in healthcare. So I know in recent years, the term AI has been uprising and coming up, but AI in healthcare has been going on for actually since the 1970s already. So the first AI that was used, I think this is one of the first AI systems that was used in healthcare was the Mycin system. This was pretty much a program that has like some conditional, some rules, I think about 500 of them. And this helped doctors diagnose blood infections. So pretty much like what this program will do is I think it will take a sample of blood from a patient, run the reports, and then the AI or the program will then like go through the 50 different rules that it have. I'm sure these 50 different rules are different signs of the different blood infections, and it would help one spit out like the possible different infections, and the doctors would then cross-reference them as a tool to like quickly diagnose, as a baseline foundation. So despite what we may or may not think AI is new, AI has been around for quite some time already. Any questions on the Mycin system? I'm actually curious. So you guys said you guys like were I don't want to ditch all you guys, but you guys must probably have some experience in this. I'm curious if any of you guys have experienced this or heard about it back in your guys' day.
Okay, I was an oncology nurse for 30 years,
Yeah.
and I guess I didn't know it was AI, but I'm sure AI was developed because what chemo attacks what tumors.
Oh,
So
yeah.
sure they had to be using some type of system like this so they could know what's the best mix of chemo to give this particular cancer patient.
Yep.
So I'm sure, a lot of that probably was used. I just
Huh.
didn't know.
Well, that's cool. That's actually really cool, actually. Holiday, you had something to say?
No, I wasn't aware of that back then either.
Huh, interesting. Anything on that, Daniel? Okay, sounds good. I think honestly, I think one of the coolest things is me going through the history of these healthcare systems and like actually having some attendees that actually experience the actual thing at that time. So I think that's crazy. So I'm still too young. I don't think I was born at the time yet to actually experience those things.
Yeah, you're a youngin.
So yeah, 1972 is too far for me, you know. All right, so I think this is talking about the cancer, pretty much. I think you were talking about this, Karen, but they used computer-aided detection, pretty much just a image recognition AI at that time. I know right now image detection is something new that people are talking about, but back in the day, they had this used for different mammo- mammograms. Can't pronounce that word properly, but pretty much what it did was it took the different um it took the different medical like the weights, the size, the patterns, the makeup of the different tissues that were like taken in these like, you know, mammograms, and then identify them to help better doctors detect breast cancer. I know Karen, do you want to talk a little bit on this too? You might have more experience on this.
Now I remember, okay, they used to do, it was more CAT scans, then
Yeah.
they did the mammograms, and now you're finding MRI
Yep.
is even a better tool, but most insurance companies won't pay for that. So you pretty much have, the mammogram has to have detected something that something else can't pick up for them to do an MRI.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting. So when did you have any experience with like the different, like I guess like it might have been like some computer program, but like did it help doctors or nurses detect these like, did you see that yourself to detect different like cancers easier? Was there a program that helped you during that time when you were like working as a nurse?
I don't know about a specific program. I just know that once they came up with the mammograms, and
Yeah.
which they consider that the gold standard for detecting breast cancers, but mammograms, what people don't realize is if people have like really, really dense tissue breasts, mammograms don't even pick up very well. Or if you have a lot of fatty tissue,
Wow.
ultrasound is actually better, but insurance companies, you have to pretty much fail the mammogram to get
Ah,
anything else done.
dang. It's always insurance companies.
Yep.
You got something to say, Daniel?
Yeah, I recently had some issues with pain in my brain area or in my head,
Yeah.
and they did an MRI of my brain, and they actually sent the results of my brain CAT scan to a computer system which had a knowledge base of 900 different. It was already pre-recorded with 900 different brain type of conditions,
Wow.
and it actually compared my scan against their database, and basically said, we don't see any pattern that matches part of our 900, but they still allowed human intervention to review the results to make sure it was something that wasn't already on file.
Yeah. That's an interesting part. Whenever AI lacks the data, you got to bring someone in. I think that's the downfall. Not downfall. I think the infancy of AI, where
Mm-hmm.
we don't have enough data to actually sit there and identify every single thing out there. Sometimes you need some problem solving skills from a human.
You do. I don't know if anybody Chicago Med,
Sorry.
but I don't know if anybody watched the show Chicago Med.
No, I don't.
The past couple of seasons, they dealt a lot with this. They had this OR suite,
Yeah.
and it was using AI, and it would kind of guide the surgeon like what's the best path to take to do certain surgeries.
Yeah.
And it was actually kind of interesting because they had to kind of build up this database, and they would like build into the database, and then it would just come up with like all of these combinations of diseases and just different stuff. So it's actually interesting. I just don't know that much about it, but that was a good example of it because they did a lot with that last season, couple of seasons.
Yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. I think the whole point is like the level of how much you can trust it all comes down to how good the data is. If the
Yeah,
data is bad, then no matter how good the AI is, it's just not gonna cut it. You know, I know it can learn over time, but that requires cleaner and better data over time as well. So that's the big part. If whenever you're thinking of AI, it's like you could think of it as like a toddler, right? The toddler is a very smart, intelligent human being. It grows up, but the data you feed it, the stuff you teach it as it grows up to become a a full grown adult, really matters in terms of the training that the toddler goes through and how well that person becomes. And AI is the same. And AI is only as good as the data it is trained upon. So if you guys are feeling bullish, this is not financial advice. If you guys are feeling bullish, invest in data centers because data is gonna be gold coming on later down in the future for the AI. Not financial advice though, just an observation. Any questions so far before we move on? Everyone all good? All right, I'm gonna keep going. So another thing that was one of like a key milestone in healthcare, and again, I think Karen, today might be your day of experience and storytelling. But in 1997, I think AI helped. I know in the healthcare system, sepsis is a big thing. Once you get like infections in your blood, you can easily die extremely quickly if it's not caught early enough. So in 1997, they used an AI to help better detect sepsis, and I think they actually track your different like vital signs, health signs, and like heart pressure and blood pressures, to actually detect if or if you have key indicators to detect sepsis. I haven't worked in the ICU before. Maybe Karen, you have. But how impactful was this back then? And I'm not sure if you've seen it or
I've
heard about.
I've never worked in the intensive care. We had to actually rely on our own skills
Uh,
to pick
fair
up
enough.
on stuff. No, I mean you really did. When you were a floor nurse, you didn't actually have all the machines, but low blood pressure, high temp, and all of that stuff, and a very high heart rate are key indicators for sepsis.
Mm. How
But
fast can you die if you don't catch it early enough? I know it's quick.
it can be, and dealing in oncology, you would have a lot of patients that would get septic. So
Mm.
you kind of had to really be on it.
Yeah. Now, and at least now, like there's AIs that help you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
at
Yeah,
least. I think that goes back to your point, Daniel. It's like there's sometimes nurses can't be everywhere, so having an AI to detect those different signs for the nurses could be extremely useful.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I just recently visited a friend of mine who is going through a whole bunch of issues,
Mhm.
and basically all of her vital signs was going into a computer, and only when one of the nurses there told me, she says, only when certain conditions are uh, seen
Yeah.
does a nurse get notified there's something going on and they need to walk in there and take a look.
Hmm. Uh-huh.
Wow. Well, I mean, nurses are busy, very busy, so
Well,
has to be
it
more
goes back
efficient.
to the whole question. I'm sure your girlfriend's probably experiencing this or going to be experiencing this, is of the shortage of nurses that
Yeah.
right now, going through the whole hospital environment system, and hospitals trying to reduce or increase the number of patients per nurse, and therefore not allowing a typical nurse to be as alert about all their patients.
Yeah. Well, I think that issue of increasing, as maybe may or may not be an issue, but I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Um, if we were to find a solution for that, I think it's a combination of both like a technology issue of providing better AI and better support, but also a management, a company like a Banner Health or whatever issue as well as providing better support, better pay for these nurses as well. So I think it's a bigger issue than just I know a lot of people want to just throw AI in and call it a solution, but I think AI is a great first step, but I think there's a bigger solution out there for this problem, you know. Because by all means, AI is great. AI is great. I think, but there's like the combination between human and AI, we're still very early in that time right now. Any questions before I move on to this, guys? Okay, continue to move on. So we're now getting closer to recent times, but I guess I forgot that we're in 2024. In 2011, it was like 13 years ago, which kind of crazy. But back in 2011, IBM's Watson, this is pretty much IBM's AI, was able to detect a rare disease on this woman. I think it was a rare, leukemia disease. And pretty much the way it worked was that it took in her genetic information, like pretty much DNA, these nucleotides, pretty much sequenced their genome, and it detected specific sequence that was associated, or the specific mutation that was associated with like that specific leukemia, pretty much. I'm not sure if anybody here has worked in lab. I know Karen, you worked as a nurse, but have you had any experience with analyzing like DNA, like
No,
genome? No.
I
Okay.
haven't.
Oh well. So the closest I had to this was, I will talk about this later, but I worked in a lab before. I worked in like a pharmaceutical lab, so actually like developing like drugs. So I'll share that a bit later on, but I don't have a lot of experience on like the genomic sequencing or anything. But I think that's still pretty cool. Being able to take someone's specific DNA, run the AI on it, and then detect diseases from it. Go ahead, Daniel.
Well, I work with the department, or just finished working a project with the Department of Agriculture.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, I know this is not human related, but more plant related. We would look at corn samples and corn seed, and actually we would send that information to IBM. IBM was helping us with a project where they were looking at the DNA structure of the corn seed, and they were making suggestions on, and again, it sort of gets into a sort of medically modified corn seed, which
Yeah.
was producing a larger corn kernel, and whether or not there's a lot of question whether genetically modifying seed is legitimate or not.
Uh-huh.
And that whole goes in the whole idea of doing the same thing with humans, but genetic engineering, and that could be a whole another conversation, not
Yeah.
AI related. So
Have you guys seen that movie? I wasn't sure what the movie. It was a way back movie back in like the 1990s, where it was about this world where every baby that was born, I forgot the name, but every baby that was born, they sequence their genetic information, and then if your like genetic DNA was not perfect, you get scrutinized, and if your DNA was perfect, you get a like prestige, no biters. I don't remember the movie, but I think that's a good reference point where if we were able to sequence these DNAs and then use AI to actually read it through and determine all the diseases you can possibly have, what like social or economical impact would that have? Because I think that would be really interesting. Okay, moving on. So another, this is really recent, but AI diagnosing diabetic retinopathy. So pretty much Google's AI algorithm is able to um, take a picture, or not take a picture of your eyes. It doesn't do that specific, but a picture of your retina, and be able to detect different abnormalities in your eyes that are signs of diabetics. For example, like the microaneurysms, hemorrhages, and exudates in your eyes, pretty much. So pretty much just different, if by the picture, different like calcium and proteins blockage in your eyes that causes diabetics. So I think this is great. I think this is also very useful application of AI. Any thoughts on this? Does anybody have any family members that have diabetes that they might have like experienced this or gone through this like process?
I have diabetes, but it was not determined due to a retina scan.
Mm. Fair enough. Well, how is it? How is it determined?
Just low, sugars and stuff like that. I mean,
That's a good indicator too, you know. So, all right. So after learning about all this, from your guys' experience, what do you think is the most, significant challenge in integrating AI into healthcare, and how do you think these challenges have been addressed? This is just a discussion topic. Feel free to chime in, guys. All right, I can start off too then if that helps. Oh, Daniel, go ahead.
well, I mean, my thought is making sure that there's a human intervention. The amount of how AI is used, once it gets to a point where human intervention is not needed, that scares me. I think as long as we have a good mix between AI and human intervention, I'm comfortable with that. I'm just scared that the way the economy is going to be more AI and less human intervention.
I see what you're saying. Holly, Karen, any thoughts on that? The different challenges on like healthcare and integrating AI to healthcare.
No, I kind of agree with what he's saying. As long as you still have, that human interaction. And I think AI is good for a lot of things, but I think, like you say, it's only as good as the data provided also by the human. So I think, like you say, it's got to kind of work together.
I agree with all that too.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with that too. I mean, there might become a day where AI becomes really accurate. I'm not sure if it's anything close to it, but a lot of the jobs that require just the collection of information and like applying it um may become obsolete.
But
But
Andy, that's what scares me
yeah,
is how much information AI is gathering about me as an individual, and how is that data being used? And I'm sort of losing control as to my personal data.
yeah.
That's that's one of the scary things for me.
I think we lost control of our personal data a couple years back already, Daniel. Unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's definitely more economically driven rather than ethically driven. So I'm curious to see how the government will start regulating AI for the years to come. Because I know right now they're passing copyright laws on like music, images for AI, but I'm not sure too much in the ethical, like I'm not too familiar with the personal information collecting side of things. Okay, cool. So now we're done with the history. We're going to the current applications of AI in healthcare. So this is kind of a more recent thing and it could possibly help you guys as well to improve your guys' health. But the biggest thing right now with AI is diagnostics with the image recognition AI and being able to use like convolution neural networks. Like we said before, it's able to take an image of a CT scan, MRI, X-rays, and be able to like extract the different characteristics of that image to then pattern match it with different layers of neural networks to identify different, I guess, diseases, lung cancer, infections, all that stuff, So we talked about this earlier already, but I think I think the biggest thing since like as MRIs are getting more advanced every day, the combination with this and AI could really help improve the diagnostics. Any thoughts on this? I know that this is pretty much what was said earlier for the CAT scan, but this is just a more advanced version as image recognition becomes better. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Um, Cancer detection. I think this is all. I think this might be one of the more important ones, because a lot of times cancer detection. I'm not a cancerologist, but from what I've heard so far, the earlier you detect cancer, the obviously the better it is to to actually prevent it. So technology like Path AI is able to start detecting cancer early on, just from pathology sides. So pretty much taking a sample of your skin or your cells, and then put it on like a petri dish, and be like look it through a camera and identify if there's different cancer cells already evolving already, to be better early detection of like, cancer. Anybody has experience on the cancer side of things? By any chance?
I'm a breast cancer survivor. My husband just had lung cancer surgery,
I
and
see.
um, I can wholeheartedly say we both were early detection and had no chemo or radiation for either of us. So
Wow. Well,
yeah,
that's pretty amazing, actually. So yeah, being
yeah,
able to detect early is it's really key here.
yeah. And I haven't heard of this Path AI thing. So next time I see our oncologist, I might just ask them about it. Maybe they're using it.
Yeah, no, I agree, because a lot of times these technologies aren't really known to the public. It's more so, you can hear about here and there on the news, but it's mostly just like something they use behind the scenes. Because a lot of times they don't, you can ask and they'll probably explain to you, but probably not necessary to explain to the patient. They just probably want to know about if you have cancer or not.
Right,
You know,
right.
so yeah, these are just different technologies behind the scenes that I thought was interesting. All right, moving on. I'm at this one I haven't seen too much of it. So if you guys don't know, I have a pharmaceutical background. It's really, I was on the path to become a pharmacist. So being able to personalize medication, I think this is a really interesting topic, because so right now they pretty much do, as I mentioned earlier, being able to analyze your genetic DNA and then create medications specifically for you, because the variations are different, like, I guess, activation areas for different proteins in your bodies. So all in all, this is pretty much what's coming up. I don't know too much. I don't think they have too much development on this already. It could possibly be not because of technology, but rather profits as well. So I'm not too sure of the economic side of this, is of how they want to monetize this. But nowadays you're able to analyze your genetic data, use AI to see what different diseases you may have, and then personalize different medications, specifically for your you know for your disease that you're going to have, based on your specific DNA too. So that's coming up. I'm not sure it's public yet, but this is something that you should keep in mind probably in the next 5 to 10 years, in developing medicine. I'm just not sure the development process might take a bit more, because developing a specific drug for you takes a long time. I mean, developing a drug nowadays takes 20 years specifically, and $1 billion. So maybe developing specified drugs for you might be very expensive. Um, has anyone taken? I'm curious. I'm not sure if this is a thing, but has anyone taken any personalized medication for them, or has it all been just general medication?
I've used 23andMe to look at um, potential things that could be bothering me. They haven't really prescribed the drug. They sort of showed me my genetic makeup in regards to background.
Hmm, that's fair. What about Karen? Do you have something to say?
No, I haven't had experience with any of that so far. It's just been
Okay.
generalized for me.
No, did you guys? I think this was like a year or so, or 2 years back. I think 23andMe or one of these like genetic companies got hacked, and it leaked a bunch of leaked a bunch of genetic data out to the public, or it got hacked. You guys, any of you guys heard about this?
That's what scares me. I mean, I get notification all the time
Hmm.
about hacked data, and scares. That's what scares me big time, is not only my health data getting hacked, but my personal financial data, and that's sort of a whole another conversation, really.
Yeah, I mean, I know this is. I think when this happened, it was like it was one of the most controversial times because this is pretty much your like physical biological data getting leaked into the public, and who knows what can do with that, in terms of like pharmaceuticals, in terms of like diseases, viruses, biological attacks. So that time it was crazy. But yeah, I think you're right, Danielle, in terms of um like it's it's like a double-sided blade where we need more data to improve the AIs, but by giving AIs more data, it puts our data in vulnerability. Also, you need to build security measures, but like I said, what's the guidelines between what data they should or should not use to better improve the AI?
One of the medical tests I recently took basically told me they randomize the data so they don't associate the results from that lab work got assigned a number, and
Yeah,
that number got assigned to me, and those two databases are not linked up. So if somebody got into the database where my lab results were, they would have no way of realizing it was me.
yeah.
So I
Unless they
mean,
get both of them.
right, unless they were able to hack into both. And so that's the only thing that sort of gives me a warm and fuzzy feeling
Yeah,
when I talk to, a medical, lab, and they tell me that they maintain this as a way of prov- maintaining privacy for an
yep.
individual.
Gotta maintain that HIPAA compliance. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so this is I have actually so drug discovery actually. So I actually have experience with this, and I actually used one of these AIs before. So pretty much during my days in college, I was in this like neurological lab. And we used an AI to help recreate different drug structures to fit in specific different proteins in your bodies. And the way it did this was that so this is for drug discovery. And the way it did this was there was a database of different molecules that can fit into your different protein structures in your body to help, cure diseases, you know, all that stuff like that. And pretty much it ran through every single one of those drugs. I think it was a million different molecules in this specific pocket for a protein in your body. And it gives you the top 10 that are good, and you take those top 10 into a lab and start experimenting them to see if it actually works. So this was a really interesting thing that I used and from my experience. I'm not sure if anybody I think nobody worked here in the lab, but just something cool that I would like to share where it helps speed up the drug discovery process instead of someone sitting there testing out every single molecule for different proteins that for the drugs that would work. Now you can run it and at least get the top 10. Because trust me when I tell you, doing research for drug discovery is the most convoluted and labor intensive thing you could probably do because you got to test out consistently over time. Okay, cool. And I think Daniel, you mentioned this a bit earlier. I know did your wife go through surgery? She had to go through surgery, right?
Well, she didn't have to go get surgery, knocking on wood. Um, but I've known a few people that have had to go through robotic surgery for knee replacements and shoulder replacements. And it has really, the robotic surgery really has helped.
Yeah.
I think Karen mentioned that she remembers issues of Chicago Med where they have a AI surgical center, and robotic surgery sort of a reminder of that. So
Yeah. Holly, you got something to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say my husband's surgery, which was just June 22nd, his surgery for his lung cancer was robotic, and they did it in 45 minutes.
Wow.
And yeah, he's doing fine. And they had mentioned they had just done their 1000th robotic surgery when he went in for one of his check-ins.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It was great to have that tool.
Yeah, no more shaky hands.
No, no.
Yeah, so the name of the system is called the Da Vinci Surgical System. That might have been the one that was doing surgery on your husband. But yeah, pretty much obviously these machines are controlled by a surgeon. Right now there is no autonomous surgical equipment AI yet. I think they're developing it, but I'm not sure how people trust that though. You know, so I think also a big thing out there right now. But being able to first, not have shaky hands during a surgery and be able to identify specific body parts precisely with AI, I think that's a really good first step. All right, moving on. Virtual health assistants. Has anybody first off, virtual health assistants, pretty much they are, like as I said, a virtual chatbot assistant. I know for you, Daniel, you've interacted one, but through a nurse. But pretty much this is a AI chatbot that helps you schedule appointments, track systems, and support like questions that you may have. One of the examples is Babylon Health. They have a Babylon Health and Ada Health. They have a specific app that you can actually download now, and you can ask the questions, and you tell it its symptoms, and then it will diagnose you to the best of its ability, practically. It's a cool. I think this is a very cool thing. Good first step. But again, going back to the trust level, how much do you trust a chatbot versus consulting your doctor or consulting a nurse? Curious to know your guys' thoughts. Have you guys personally used any like this yourselves?
Well, I recently have used a virtual health assistant, to go through a symptom assessment,
Yeah.
and basically it asked me a whole bunch of questions, and then it came back and said, "Well, I really think you need to see." Its response was, "I really need to think you need to go and see your personal doctor." Or in one case, it said, "Hey, you really need to take an extra aspirin. If the pain does not go away after you take the aspirin, then I think you need to make an appointment to see your primary care physician, your PCP."
That's somewhat helpful.
Huh?
That's somewhat helpful. They just told you, yeah, go talk to the doctor. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it anyways.
I mean, it saved me a journey, um, to the doctor's office, or hey, it said, "I think you have the flu. I
Yeah,
think you need to keep drinking fluid until you can get the chance to see your PCP." So it gave me a bit of a reassurance, because the questions that it was asking were the similar type of questions I'd be asking myself anyway,
yeah,
and made me feel comfortable. Now, the fact that it wasn't asking me for my name and address and stuff like that, it was doing it as sort of a virtual environment. It did ask me, and which really surprised me, are you a diabetic? Do you have any medical conditions, so that it would make a better assessment of my needs. So I really think virtual health assistants has come a long way,
yeah.
compared to the days of where you ask Dr. Watson, and Dr. Watson, uh, and again, I'm sort of dating myself a little bit with Dr. Watson.
I don't know who what Dr. Watson is.
You, Dr. Watson was a PC application where you said, "How are you feeling today?" And you would say, "I'm feeling a little bit shaky." And Dr. Watson would respond back, "Well, why are you feeling shaky?" It really had no intelligence.
Mhm.
It just
Is
was
it an if-then kind of
right.
conditional? Okay, interesting.
And that was the original health assistant. I mean, it really wasn't legitimate, but
It was a good first step. Good first
it's
step.
first step, right?
Yeah. Holly, do you have something to say? I know you unmuted yourself earlier.
No, but before we go, is there a way I could give you my email and then I could share your,
Yeah, yeah,
the
of course.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. So I think you might have signed up on a website. I'll send you a link where most people just sign up to a website. And if you sign up there, I send out weekly reminders and guides. Like everything we talk about here, I post on YouTube, and I also write a recap email every single week. So if you're too busy, you can't show up, you can also catch the email.
Great. So I
Here,
did
just
I did get a reminder email, but you probably have so many. Should I give you my email to?
yeah, can you type in the chat for me? Just type in the chat, just direct it to me, and
Yeah.
I'll shoot you an email.
Okay. I will do that.
And I'll tell you, Holly, his recaps are quite wonderful, because there's been times that I've could not attend one of his sessions, and his recaps were quite up to date.
Oh, thank you. Is it possible to look back at those or?
Yes, he has
yeah.
2 or 3 back there, so
Okay.
Yeah.
And on Facebook or Instagram?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
If you check on the recap email on the bottom, it shows
Oh.
our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I make educational videos about
Oh,
all sorts of technology.
you're so awesome and to do this and just so informative. I want to share with anyone
Yeah,
I know use it.
I'm glad it's helpful.
Yes.
But yeah, just shoot me your email over the chat.
Yep.
And
and
I'll
invite, if you do have friends who you think this would help, please invite people. I mean, I hate to publicize for Andy, but he's done some of these sessions where only one of the persons attended, and he gets lonely talking just to me. So
But I like talking to you, Dan. Don't worry.
Well,
You make it work.
my sharing this, I hope will bring more people because I look forward to future ones. I do pet sitting, so if I don't have to let a pet out or walk a dog, I'll be here.
I'm glad.
also, Holly, and I'm going to do a shameless plug, and hope Andy doesn't mind.
Go ahead.
But there's a website called SeniorPlanet .org, and they offer a bunch of programs, both on technology as well as health, as well as fitness, free of charge for anybody who wants to attend.
Great. I'll make note of that.
And it's a really, Andy, I'm not trying to take away from you.
No worries. The better, more help, the better.
I mean, I teach some classes over there as well at Senior Planet, so in regards to technology. So I mean, I sort of can relate to Andy very well with what he's doing. And
Terrific. Okay.
All right, awesome. I'm gonna keep going then. If you have to leave early, I know it's like 10 o'clock already, might go a little bit over, but I'll try to finish as quickly as possible. If you need to leave, feel free. Quick patient monitoring. If I know, I guess if you have diabetes, you might have used a glucose monitor, and a lot of times these glucose monitors are connected to the cloud and they have past information. Maybe not specifically your name, of course, with like HIPAA compliance and everything, but be able to like track and monitor your glucose levels just from your tests. This is really interesting. Do you use one of these, Daniel?
yes, I do.
Does it connect to the cloud and all your like on a platform that you like actually track and all that stuff?
Well, it connects to my phone, and then on a regular basis, my phone updates a cloud position where my doctor has access to it, so he can actually look at the results of. I don't have the CGM attached to me. I basically have to put my stats in myself, but I do have friends who have the CGM, continuous glucose monitor, which is actually a probe attached to your body.
Wow.
And use it that way. But currently I'm not at that level of needing that.
Well, I hope you don't get to that level. Hope you stay healthy forever.
Me too.
All right. So after all these applications, I'm curious, what applications of AI do you find the most surprising or innovative, and why do you think it's most impactful? Now, which one do you like the most? Feel free to shout out if you have a favorite that you like.
I'm just impressed with all of them, but being able to monitor things like diabetes like that, or just the sites I have never heard of, all these sites you've mentioned, so I'm going to look into them.
Yep, really good information.
And to me, the robotic surgery is sort of the innovation that I think is really incredible. The fact that you have robots that can handle operations, especially as say the shaky hand syndrome. A surgeon is doing surgery after surgery,
He's tired.
to allow them the possibility of doing the operation or procedure um, using a robot and not having to worry about it if they're tired or if they actually went go oops. I think that sort of really is an innovation that I really think is incredible.
Hmm. Karen, do you have any thoughts on this? Anything just your favorite?
Yeah, I think the robotic surgery, because healing time is less, and you don't have all these big old goddess scars that people had that took weeks to heal. And so I just think it's a lot more minimally invasive.
I agree. I agree. I think for me, I think my favorite, I I would definitely say the genomic sequencing using AI. I think that's like in a sense you're seeing into someone's future. I think that's very innovative in my opinion. I'm curious to see how that would change what's it called? Specialized healthcare for each individual instead of
Well,
one size fit all.
Andy, I think you'd be nervous. Your girlfriend studying a practice that might eventually be completely no longer used and her being replaced by a robot.
I don't think nurses will ever be replaced by robots because there's such a big human aspect. It's like caregiving. I don't think you can replace caregiving with a robot. I think that's somewhat, I'm gonna say impossible. I just wouldn't. I don't see that happening because there's such a human, emotional, warm touch side of it where I don't see that. It's not just informational.
I see episodes of Star Trek or Star Wars.
Well, maybe. That's a time far, far away from now. All right. I'll go through this quick because I know we're short on time. Everyone has stuff to do. AI and mental health. If you're ever lonely, feeling sad, or just want to talk to some random robot, there's a Woobot. Um, I'm not promoting these guys. I'm just saying they're here 24/7. It's pretty much an AI powered therapist. You sit there, talk, and it helps you get less stressed, get less lonely, um, mental health stuff. I'm sure everyone has seen this at least once. BetterHelp. It's probably some ads on YouTube that talk about this, but pretty much they connect you with, I guess, therapists, and they use AI to help. They use AI to track your like what you talk about, how you say, your personality, your data, your text or speech, and they match you specifically using that information with a specific therapist based on your needs. Let's say you're a fast talker like me. You need a therapist who's a better listener, kind of deal. So that's I think this is a really good use of AI instead of replacing a human with AI. They connect humans together using AI. The more suitable way to connect. I think that's a great application of how you use AI. I'll skip this question. Do you guys feel comfortable going to a therapist? Have anyone here gone to a therapist? That's the first question. Gone to therapy? Anybody gone to therapy here?
Years ago,
Oh, one at a time. Holly, you want to go first? I think you
I
need
I'm
the
saying no, but I like this better health idea. Might
yeah,
people that are inhibited to do that, they might use that more and get help faster.
true.
They've just recently here in Arkansas uh, put an AI engine for the suicide line,
Yeah.
and people are able to talk to a chatbot uh, to see whether or not sort of to make them feel more relaxed.
Hmm.
And the whole idea of not having to deal with a human being, a voice, there's a lot of discussion going on whether or not that methodology is more practical and efficient than having a human being answer the phone, and somebody who is at that level, at that point in their life, um, really wants to talk to a robot or chat, or whether or not a human being. And there's a big study going on right now uh, with the University of Arkansas Medical Sciences (UAMS) to see what is a better solution for the future.
Mm-hmm. Karen, do you have something to say?
I was just saying that I did attend therapy probably about 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I think like Holly said, one of the drawbacks sometimes when you actually are going in person is people see you go,
That's true.
and they're like, oh, and this was like a hospital. It was something that our insurance paid for,
Yeah.
so like a hospital, whatever. So yeah, I'm sure there were people that you saw that was there. You didn't know what they were there for, but sometimes just the stigma of receiving therapy can freak
Yeah.
some people out too.
There's a small judgment side of it.
Hmm.
So cool. I'll go through this quickly. I thought this was cool. So these are tools and medical equipment you can actually get right now. If you're interested in having AI wearables, I think some of us are wearing AI. If you have the Apple Watch, partially it's AI. But smart watches, smart rings. I actually saw this yesterday when I was doing research. Hexo skin smart shirts and AI fitness socks, by the way. So the smart shirts actually is good for tracking respiration, your heart rate, as well as fitting to your body, as well as tracking your workouts, how well you're doing physically. So where's on your body, it tracks everything. It's really cool. And if you are for balancing, the socks, it helps check your feet balance, as well as like how strong your feet position are, as well as how much you run. So it keeps your like healthy track of your feet. Um, I'll go this quick. I know we're running out of time. Home health devices, smart inhalers, are a new thing now, as well as like smart glucose blood pressures, oximeters. So these are just different things in the market right now. I'll skip this one. Pretty much health tracking, personalized healthcare, preventive care. The future. I'm just gonna end it here. I think then we can go sometime. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. And didn't want to take too much of you guys' time after 10. So Holly, I have your email right here. Let me see. Yep, I have your email right here. I'll shoot you an email of our website, as well as our link that people should sign up with, and they can get the email reminders and everything. And Karen, always a
Can I,
pleasure to see you again. Yes, Holly?
is that possible to do through Facebook if I just copy paste?
If you
put your,
said, sorry, one more time.
I'm sorry. Can you put your Facebook link or whatever?
Yeah, of course, of
I
course.
I'll
Yeah,
probably.
I'll send everything.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Of course. See you, Holly.
Bye.
Nice to see you and Karen. Hope you have a good week, okay?
You too.
Okay. That was a better class than expected. But I am done. I'm just a girl and she's on fire. A1, A, each girl, Tom.